What's up, YouTube? This is 2 Raw 4 TV. So, in this video, I want to do a review of the 6th episode of the first season of the critically acclaimed HBO docuseries Winning Time: The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty. This episode picked up from the events of the end of the 5th episode, where Lakers head coach Jack McKinney suffers a near fatal head injury after he crashed his bike. And the initial events of the 6th episode shows that no one is quite aware yet of what had happened to Jack McKinney. Um, you know, the episode begins with Paul Westhead walking into um, Jack McKinney's office, thinking that he may have, arrived at the office early. He had been unable to reach Jack McKinney the previous day. They were supposed to meet each other as far as playing tennis. That's where Jack McKinney was going when he suffered that injury. Um, it is not Jack McKinney in the office, but rather Pat Riley. And it's interesting that in this scenario, you see the former, the current who doesn't realize he's the current head coach, and you would see his eventual successor, in this scene. And there's some foreshadowing in this scene too about Paul Westhead and where he is right now, even though he does not realize it, that he's going to be facing a crisis. Ultimately, they get the phone call, and he's in terrible shape, Jack McKinney. Um, in reality, they had to perform brain surgery on him to save his life, which included them removing the top of his head. Um, the team and the press and people don't know the severity outside of close friends and family. Um, and I guess those who needed to know from the organization, no one knows the severity of Jack McKinney's injury. Um, but Paul Westhead becomes the interim head coach. All right. And that is pretty much the event that dominates the episode. Uh, the recovery of Jack McKinney, um, which there was some doubt about. Paul Westhead not feeling like he's up to the job, being uh, feeling like as if though it's too enormous a task for him. He's used to being an assistant, not being at the top, not being at the controls. He thinks the job is just too overwhelming for him. Doesn't think he's worthy of being the head coach, and I think that's going to be a undertone for the rest of the series. I think Paul Westhead struggling with whether or not he feel like he's up to the task or not, but we'll see. Another thing that's going on in this episode is Jerry Buss's mother. I think her name is Jamie. Incidentally, when I try to look up information about his mother on online, excuse me, I can't find anything. I can't find anything about when she was born, when she passed away, um, what she looked like. I can't find anything about her. About his ex-wife, there's lots of information. About other people, there's lots of information. But the mother, I can't find anything about. But she was a real person, and Sally Field is playing her. But in this episode, you begin to realize that there's something going on with his mother. Um, Initially, she seemed very alert, uh, very witty, very intelligent, very wily, but you're seeing signs, and it showed some signs of in another episode where she seemed disorientated, forgotten what day it was, whatever. Uh, but in this particular episode, you could tell that she's not quite there. Okay, she's not quite there, and she's forgetting. She's just having horrible, I guess, delusions. All right. And the best thing that I can come up with, I'm not a doctor, but I would assume she's in the early stages of dementia, Alzheimer's disease, something of that effect. Um, because she's going in and out of dementia and lucidity, but it's becoming more and more frequent. Dr. Jerry Buss doesn't seem to want to admit it, but when you look at the episodes, you find out that there's something going on. She had been using a bank that I think had been closed for 5 years for payment to lenders. She should have known that. She knows she should know that. So there's something going on wrong. And I think she had not submitted the paperwork that had supposed to be submitted months ago as far as um, loan repayment or submitted for a loan with Western Forum, who he's trying to um, extend credit until June, I think, of 1980. Right? So he has all these things going on, a lot of stuff going wrong, financial problems, but he's trying to hold down the fort, and then this develops, and he's severely stressed out. Um, Another thing that's going on in this episode is Magic Johnson is getting tired of this chick, right? This chick who is trying to pretty much pass herself off as Mrs. Magic Johnson, right? Now, the father of this chick eventually seems to be Magic's liaison slash wannabe agent, you know. Um, but Magic is leery of telling this guy, I don't want to really deal with your daughter on a situation as far as me being in a relationship. I'm not ready to settle down yet. So the guy, I gotta give him to him. He's like, look, just because your personal relationship is shutting down with my daughter doesn't mean that we have to give up our business relationship. So on that aspect, I gotta give him a solid on that one. Though I get this feeling, I get this feeling that that dude gonna fuck Magic over some way. You know what I'm saying? I just got this feeling, man. He just gonna fuck Magic Johnson over in some element. Then you see Magic reaching out to Cookie, who's of course lives in Detroit. I think she's in college. I think he has the guy send her, uh, gift her personally Lakers tickets. And that's pretty much it for this episode. Anything that I want to know? Just trying to think of. Oh, there's a couple other things. Mike Epps needs to be in a movie where he's playing Richard Pryor. That came as a shock to me. He played Richard Pryor. Man, Mike Epps needs to play Richard Pryor in a movie. All right, and he needs to do it now while he's still young enough to portray Richard Pryor. All right. Um, Only thing I think is that in some scenes, if he was doing a movie, he might have to lose a little weight. You know, he's getting up there. He's 50. You know, he's putting on a little bit of weight, just a tad bit of weight, but he still looks young enough to play Richard Pryor convincingly as a man in his late 30s, as he was at that time, almost 40. Actually, he was about 40. I think he was 39. So he looked about the right age. But he has Richard Pryor down. And that was a great cameo, a couple of cameos of Mike Epps playing Richard Pryor. Um, the actor G. Wood does a great job playing Spencer Haywood. You see Spencer Haywood trying to stay clean, but the combination of the fact that with that Lakers team, Spencer Haywood was used to being a star, you can quickly see he's going to be relegated to coming off the bench. That plus other things, you get a sense that he's going to fall off that wagon when it comes to drugs. Great. I would say this movie has, excuse me, the show has a great great soundtrack. There's a great song by Fleetwood Mac toward the end of this episode. And I'm trying to think, is anything else I want to talk about? There is one opportunity that Magic Johnson missed, and that is um, there is a business promoter who is trying to get Magic Johnson to sign on with Nike. And at that time, Nike was a nothing company, nothing. All right, and the deal that he would have given Magic, I think he would have given Magic. I think the deal was $1 per unit sold, and I think he said 18% of stock, of total stock, not like some $90,000 a year or $100,000, which was profitable, but it showed that had Magic took that leap, if he had took that leap, Magic would have earned $5 billion just in revenue from shoes. He'd have been the richest athlete by far in world history had he done that. And it'll tell you like Magic probably regrets not signing with Nike. But a certain bald-headed uh, North Carolinian would sign with Nike some 4 or 5 years later and make history. But anyway, I love this episode, man. I saw that they got renewed for a second season. Tell me what you guys think about this episode if you saw it.